In today's show, we're going to take a look at all of the action in the NBA on Tuesday. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. As I said, we're looking at all of the action from Tuesday, and there were some very, very interesting results. So let's start talking about those games straight away. The first one of those games was probably one of the most interesting games we'll see of the season. No Kevin Durant for the Brooklyn Nets. They went crazy with their starting lineup, and they smashed the Utah Jazz, 130-96. Let's start with the Jazz side of things, and on a positive note, Donovan Mitchell got to the line 10 times. I've been talking about how much we want to see him get to the line. And it happened. Let's see if it can sustain. 8 of 10 from the line, 46% shooting for 31 points. No steals, no blocks, only 4 assists, so a little bit empty overall, but still a pretty encouraging performance for Donovan Mitchell. He hasn't been great this season. We're well aware of that. He's not only just a top 100 player over the course of the season, so he is a bit of a buy low guy on the back of that. In a points league, he has cracked the top 50, and he did drop 39 fantasy points in today's game. Rudy Gobert had 10 and 11 with 2 blocks, but only 3 of 10 from the field. Jarrett Allen really destroyed him, but weirdly, he was 80% from the line, so that was a nice little bonus there. But overall, the minutes are just so low here. I talked in the sell high video about Mike Conley and his 3-point shooting, how it wasn't going to sustain. In the end, he had 8 points in 27 minutes on 3 of 10 shooting, and still shot 40% from 3. It was just that his 2s fell way off. He had 5 assists and a steal. It's obviously not panic time for Conley. It might be a bit panicky for Bojan Bogdanovic. Now, he shot awesome last game, but that was at 70+% and it was never going to continue. Back to 29% here, 2 of 7 from the field and no threes, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, no steals, no blocks. He's not a droppable player yet, but he is the 217th ranked player over the course of the season. I reckon in a points league, in a 10-team points league, you'd consider dropping Bojan. In fact, in a 10-team category league or shallower, I would probably be dropping Bojan Bogdanovic because he just doesn't offer enough in multiple areas to be of use to you. I think Joe Ingles is cooked. He's still rostered in far too many leagues. 7 points in 23 minutes. He just looks old out there, which is unfortunate for Joe, but he is old. So it's sort of making more sense, isn't it?
You're just mad because your ass is old.
The Nets, though, let's talk about them because they made big changes to the starting lineup. Jarrett Allen finally starting over DeAndre Jordan. The Shark, Bruce Brown.
Baby Shark, do-do-do-do-do.
Brown has only played garbage time minutes this season. He started. The artist formerly known as Torian Prince. He started. Jeff Green.
My name is Jeff.
He started, along with Kyrie Irving. So just wild changes. Joe Harris to the bench. DeAndre Jordan to the bench. Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot to the bench. And it worked out. Kyrie was unbelievable. He has been a huge bargain. Let's hope he stays healthy because he's the 6th ranked player so far. 29 and 6, 5 threes, 5 assists, 3 steals, 63% shooting. Unfortunately, didn't get to the free throw line at all. He is the 14th ranked player in points leagues and 6th ranked player in category leagues. He had a nice 51-point performance. He's not as good in points leagues as he is in category leagues. But let's talk Jarrett Allen. That's the big story. 32 minutes for Jarrett. 19 and 18, 3 steals, 2 blocks. 89% from the field. He should not ever come off the bench again. It's all going to come down to minutes, though, with him. He's the 62nd ranked player already in 24 minutes a game, which is a great effort. Can he get to 29, 30 minutes a night? You know that I've talked about him in the past, that if he plays 30 a night, I think there's a top 50 season in him. Is this the year? Look, make sure he's rostered in every single league. It's super encouraging. Karis LeVert was horrible to begin with, 0 of 5 from the field, but ended up on 50% shooting, 24 points, 5 assists and 2 steals, and a perfect 4 of 4 from the line. That brings him back to being the 82nd ranked player this year. He's 66th in points leagues. He was struggling, to be honest, really struggling. This is a good opportunity, I think, to sell high on LeVert. With Durant out, maybe there's an opportunity to sell that because he's obviously getting some more opportunities. His usage, 43% here. That's not something that's going to stick when Durant is around. So there's a bit of a sell high opportunity. As for Brown, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 23 minutes. It's not 12-team worthy for sure, but 16-teamers, 14 maybe. I think they might stick with him in that starting spot vacated by Spencer Dinwiddie. DeAndre Jordan, you already knew to drop him, but please drop him. 5 points in 9 minutes. He did have 4 fouls in 4 minutes. That's why his minutes were low. Let's see what happens if he doesn't get into foul trouble and how Steve Nash manages this, but that was really interesting. Harris only 23 minutes, 10 points, 2 triples. Let's monitor that. He's very easily a 10-team drop to me. And in a 12s, I think we're heading that way. That's for category leagues. For points leagues, he's a clear drop in 10 and 12-team leagues. I wouldn't be bothering with Joe Harris in those formats. He just had, what do you have today? 12 points, and he's averaging just 22 over the course of the season. That's not good enough to be considered a must-hold player. Luawu Cabarro, just a deep league guy, but he loses a ton of value here. While Prince and Green, who started, they didn't play that much. It was Harris and LeVert getting those minutes. So starting doesn't always mean everything. So they're not ads really in the majority of situations. I'll tell you what is an ad though. You going to Bet Online and adding money into your account, because Bet Online, that is the place to go. It's the one place that will have you covered for whatever you want to bet on sports-wise. NFL, college national championship game, the NBA, whatever sport it is, player props. Bet Online is going to have you covered. They're the place that has you covered, and they're the one place that we trust. BetOnline.ag. Sign up today for a free account at BetOnline.ag and use the promo code LOCKEDON for your 50% welcome bonus. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. Get in on the action, and don't forget to use that promo code LOCKEDON, and they give you a 50% welcome bonus. So whatever you deposit $200, they'll give you half of that, another $100 into your account with your first deposit. Bet Online is your online sportsbook experts. Let us now move on to the second game of the day. It was the Los Angeles Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Lakers get the win in the end, 94-92. Both Anthony Davis and LeBron James played 34 minutes and scored a 26-point double-double. Davis brought the 4 threes, the 3 steals, the 3 blocks. This is what we've been waiting for Anthony Davis, and he skyrockets back to being inside the top 20 after struggling to be in that area. He's 21st in points leagues as well. He had a massive 58 fantasy points in this game. Montrezl Harrell, just 20 minutes for Harrell, 9 and 7. Is he a drop? You know that I wasn't even massively keen on drafting him. I think in 10-team leagues you drop him. He's 130th ranked player. In a 10-team league, that's not roster viable. In a 12-teamer, he's going to have better nights than this, but he'll have worse nights than this as well. It is hard to justify holding on to him. Kyle Kuzma, rostered in just far too many leagues. What are we doing here? Not a 12-team league guy. Get his ass as far out of here as possible. And there is surely nobody who listens to this podcast who rosters Kyle Kuzma in a 12-team league. Surely there's nobody. Wes Matthews played a lot, didn't do too much. While remember the Taylor Horton Tucker hype? Yeah. All right, he had 4 points in 22 minutes, while Schroeder has also dropped off a lot. 12 points, 6 assists in 36 minutes, and he now is also ranked behind Montrezl Harrell for the season. The 131st ranked player fell way off. In points leagues, he's doing a little bit better. I probably would hold on to Schroeder over Harrell, but in a 10-team league, they're both of their roster spots are probably going to have more use streaming. For the Grizzlies, another double-double from Valanciunas, 13 and 11, but 31% shooting. Marc Gasol really troubled him in this game. Was getting in on him. Gasol only credited with 1 steal. I feel like he had a lot more than that on Valanciunas alone. Gorgie Dieng, another big night. Dieng is really playing well. He is a top 120 player this season in only 17 minutes a night. He's not as good in points league, but he's at least moving into the territory for 14-team leagues that you got to consider him a streamer. 13 and 4 with 2 steals, while Tyus Jones, only 8 points, but this is what you have Tyus Jones for. 8 assists and 2 steals. And that's what we've said all along. If you want steals, if you want assists, he's going to bring them for you, and he's bringing them for you while Ja Morant is out. 29 minutes for Brandon Clark, and brought the college defensive numbers. 3 steals and a block. Still, the field goal percentage is rough, but good all-round lines here. You still worry that when Morant, Winslow, Jackson return, that what his role is going to be. But for now, he's on the border of a 12-team format. While Dylan Brooksy Brooks, you'll be stunned to know that Brooks shot under 40% from the field. 13 points, 3 threes, 2 steals on 39% shooting, and he continues to be literally one of the worst players to watch in the NBA. He's trash. He should be replaced by Desmond Bane. It's rough. Kyle Anderson, not a great night from Kyle. 10 points in 29 minutes, but still got 29 minutes. 40% shooting. His 3-point shooting is way off. It's never been good, but it's way off. And the assist opportunities were well down for Kyle. He still is the 74th ranked player in a points league, and he's 92nd ranked player in a category league. I'm still holding him, but like I said with Clark, once those guys return, it is going to be a little bit harder for him. Bain's more of a 12-team league guy, and we're getting some Xavier Tillman minutes, and I'm here for it. I like Tillman a lot. 8 points in 18 minutes. They're playing him as a 4 instead of a 5, which is curious. I'm not really sure that his best position is at the 4, but he looked pretty good out there. So for Dynasty League people, I think you want to be paying some attention to Xavier Tillman because it was pretty impressive, him out there putting up those pretty strong numbers. All right, let's go on to the next game now. It was the Minnesota Timberwolves looking to get some revenge against the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets got up big early. The Wolves fought back, but then the Nuggets pull away in the end, 123-116. For the Wolves, D'Angelo Russell, probably his best game of the year, rounding into form. 33 with 11 assists, 4 triples and 2 steals. 9 of 10 from the line was also fantastic. But the big surprise, I guess, is Juancho Hernangomez. 34 minutes. 25 points, 5 threes, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. That is great. It's fantastic. But 71% shooting for Juancho. No Josh Okogie in the rotation. We have seen Juancho play multiple times. Lots and lots of times. And this is a real outlier. Would I be happy to add him? Sure. Would I be happy to, sacrifice a lot to get him? No, not even close. Like, he's more of a 14-team league ad. To me, this is not indicative of the future output of Juancho Hernangomez. He's not this good. This was a very, very good night from him, a very hot shooting night. If you add him, try and sell the shit out of him because he isn't that good and there is a ton of hype about Juancho. In most 12-teamers, I'd probably just leave him go. I just don't think his upside is that high to waste valuable fab dollars on or a player who's probably better than him in the end. I am intrigued by Jarred Vanderbilt. I've been talking about him for about a week or so now. 23 minutes, 11 and 5, 3 steals, 2 blocks, some nice passes, 80% from the field. That's all really good stuff from Vanderbilt. As I sneeze live on air. Yes, but Vanderbilt only got these minutes, really, this large amount of minutes, is because Reed got into early foul trouble and they played Vanderbilt. Now, I've been saying I think they should be giving Vanderbilt the shot, if not as the backup power forward, as the starting power forward, at least as the backup. I don't know if he's earned his way into that playing time. I hope he has. He's ranked significantly ahead of Juancho so far on the season, 177th in just 13 minutes. He's the name I want to look at. If I'm in a 16-team league, I'd be happily adding Vanderbilt just to see what happens. I don't know where the minutes are going to go. It's very hard to judge. Jake Layman should not be in that discussion at all. I'd play Vanderbilt over Ed Davis at backup center. I am really interested to see what he can do. He, to me, is one of the most intriguing players in the league who sort of falls under the radar somewhat. I'm really interested. I wouldn't add him in 12s, but I'm watching him really closely. Bad night for Malik Beasley, 15 points in 38 minutes, while the Ed Davis starting experiment, what's the point? 4 fouls for him there. Rick Rubio, I think we're dropping Rubio. 0 points in 21 minutes. He looks off. He looks slow. He looks old. He's not getting enough minutes, and that to me is a drop. Jarrett Cole was terrible. 4 points in 22 minutes, while Naz Reid picked up 5 fouls in 10 minutes. He only had 2 points. Now, Reid is fine as a short-term guy with Karl Anthony Towns out, but there is some positive news on Towns. They said he's going to be reevaluated after the next game in Minnesota. We don't know whether that means he's coming back, but they say he's progressing steadily. So that's encouraging news. Now, and again, if you want that open roster spot, then Reid is someone you can move on from. Anthony Edwards, 15 points in 26 minutes on 32% shooting. I just don't like his overall game for fantasy, especially. He's not getting enough minutes. He's not doing enough. He's outside the top 200. I am not just holding on to him for dear life for a guy that may not ever crack the top 120 this year. That's sort of how I see him. I'll tell you what else I see, though. Built Bar, because it's the best tasting protein bar ever. 6 brand spanking new flavors to join the original roster, the original 12 flavors. We've got apple almond crisp, carrot cake, lemon almond cheesecake, cherry barcia, cookies and cream, and caramel brownie. They are covered in 100% chocolate, and they are soft and easy to chew. Built Bar is great for the health-conscious person who is looking to lose or to maintain their current weight. The bars are low-calorie, low-sugar, high-protein, and high-fiber, and they are great if you are on a keto diet. The cherry barcia bar has 17 grams of protein with just 130 calories and only 4 grams of sugar and 4 grams of net carbs. So go to BuiltBar.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get 20% off your next order. The promo code is locked on for 20% off at BuiltBar.com. All right, let's flip it over now to the next game. It was the San Antonio Spurs knocking off the LA Clippers in LA, 116, 113. Patty Mills, unbelievable. 27 points with 8 triples in 29 minutes. Now, he's going to get a couple of extra minutes with Derek White out, but again, this is a massive outlier. He is not a player that's scoring 27 points. He's not playing 29 minutes, and he's not hitting 8 threes. He gave you 1 rebound and 1 assist, and he's been pretty good this year, like really good, as a solid 14-team league guy, as a solid enough streamer, but this is a massive, massive outlier for Mills. If you streamed him in today, congratulations, it worked really well. But as a ongoing sort of thing, it just isn't a realistic expectation. So you can go and add Juancho Hernangomez because he went hot today, and you can go and add Patty Mills because he put up big numbers today, and that's fine. But when you have to have a look at what happens in the future, how likely is it they ever beat what they did today, or even produce value that's even remotely close to that? And in most cases, it's a no. But so that's what I try to do. Look at it, go, is this repeatable in any degree? That's why, look, Kelly Olynyk, hey, add this guy, because what he's doing is marginally repeatable. That is not. DeJounte Murray, 21-5-5 with 2 steals. Good bounce back for him, while the Mustang, Keldon Johnson, had 9 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. A poor shooting night, but still found value in other areas. It was great to see LaMarcus Aldridge back on the court. It wasn't a great performance from him. He didn't play down the stretch either. He's returning from that knee issue, but 25 minutes, 14 and 6, 2 threes. The 38% shooting remains a real worry for Aldridge, but if he is on my waiver wire, I will add him. It has been a terrible start to the season, but I will add him, and let's just have some faith there. While DeMar DeRozan had 6, 5, and 6 and only 29 minutes, because it was guys like Rudy Gay and it was Patty Mills and DeJounte Murray who are really driving this for the Spurs. Lonnie Walker remains a terrible fantasy player, 9 points in 30 minutes with 1 rebound and 1 assist. At least he did have 2 steals, but he is not someone that you should be caring too much about for fantasy. For the Clippers, didn't really think I'd be sitting here talking about playing or getting 33 minutes out of Patrick Beverley, but 20 points, 6 triples, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 blocks. Now, Beverley's numbers have been creeping up, but this, again, is a massive outlier. He's not going to be this good most nights, and he's not going to play this much most nights. There was no Paul George, so that accounts for some of the increase in Beverley's minutes, but this is just not realistic. Kawhi Leonard, the fun guy, had 30 with 10 assists and 2 steals, and he probably sits tomorrow, while Nick Batum, one of his better recent games, 21 and 9 in 36 minutes with 2 threes. Batum is having back-end 12-team league value, and while George is banged up, and while Leonard is resting, and while Morris is out, he's fine to have, but his upside is extraordinarily low. And while it is fine for now to have him, just having enough value in that spot does not mean he is a must-hold player. The Duck, Luke Kennard, played 38 minutes. He had 9 and 6 in 38. Yeah, it's not great. He'll get another shot at it tomorrow, but only a stream option. Well, I think we dropped Serge Ibaka, to be honest. Now, I probably jinxed it when I said people were really hyping him up. They said, man, he's playing so well. And I said, yeah, look, but he's shooting 71 from 2. That's going to fall down. I don't even know if he's hit 40% yet in any game since then. 1 of 7 for 3 points. He did have 2 blocks in 25 minutes, but he is trending in the wrong direction. In a 10-team league, I'd be happy to drop Ibaka, and I'd probably do that in a 12-teamer in most of those situations as well. Zubats didn't do too much, and he's probably more of that 14 to 16 team league player also. All right, so let's move on to the last game of the night. The Chicago Bulls beat the Portland Trailblazers 111-108. Zach LaVine coming up huge late in this game to get the victory. Let's start with things from the Chicago Bulls side of things. 43 minutes for LaVine. 18 points, 9 assists, 2 blocks, a rough efficiency night, but he was pretty good otherwise. A lot of minutes for Garrett Temple, 28 of them in fact, 14 points, 3 steals, 4 threes. He's playing well. This is his best fantasy performance, only a deeper league guy. Otto Porter was great as well, 19 and 13. How that all fits in when Markkanen and Satoransky and that returns remains to be seen. There could be a real minutes crunch. I think Patrick Williams might lose out quite a bit. Porter was really good there. If he's on your wire, add him, but there is still some concern about that. Wendell Carter Jr., they went really small at the end. They played Thad Young again at center, which I'm not sure I love, but they did get the win. Wendell had 13 and 3. He had 5 assists. He had a steal and a block. It's not the greatest line out there, but it's still pretty solid. While Williams had 14 points in his 25 minutes. I think he is a 12-team droppable player. Kobe White, better mention him. 21 and 10. 5 assists, 42% shooting. There are people that were entertaining the idea of dropping him. You never do that under any circumstance for this season. So he had a nice bounce back there. For the Blazers, CJ McCollum's hot streak continues. I still think he's a sell high. 26 in 36 minutes with 6 threes, 4 assists, and 3 steals. The steal numbers are absolutely astronomical. The usage is astronomical. I just don't know how it continues, but he has taken his game to another level. Didn't get to the free throw line today, though. Damian Lillard, 24, 5, and 9 with 82% from the line on 11 attempts, while it was also a good Robert Covington game. 14 and 6 in 37 minutes, 4 threes, a steal, and a block. Have I saved the best to last? I don't know if it's the best, but Yusuf Nurkic played 28 minutes. He had 12, 11, and 6. He blocked a shot. It would have been much better had he not missed a bunch of easy layups around the rim. 40% there. But Nurkic just looked better. Don't drop him. Hold on. Buy low. He looked better. Kanter played 16 minutes, had 2 and 10. And that's what I talked about with Kanter having that big game against the Warriors. He won't do anything like that again this season. It is not a matter of Kanter and Nurkic being seen as being equal and him eating into his minutes. It's Nurkic had sucked, so they went to Kanter. When Nurkic is rolling, he's the guy that gets the minutes. Now, they did go smaller at times down the stretch here, which is a little bit frustrating with the minutes. And Nurkic still had 4 fouls, 3 of them early, and that limited him somewhat. But you can see it happening. You can see it coming back to him. Derek Jones Jr. played a lot of minutes and brought defensive numbers. 3 steals and a block. He had a great dunk. He just does nothing else. He just can't score. He doesn't pass. He doesn't rebound. The 3 steals and a block are great, and that has value for him if that's what you need in your league. Gary Trent, 13 points in only 19 minutes, while Melo had 12 points in 28 minutes. Melo still had somehow the worst plus-minus on the team. They play him way too much. You feel like almost the team and the organization is just beholden to playing him these minutes when they should be going to guys like Trent. And not saying Melo cost them the game, but it's a continual pattern. And it must be a little bit frustrating for Blazers fans. I am 100% sure that is the case. All right, let's have a look now at some other news. The ads across the last 24 hours. Eric Gordon's ad percentage has absolutely skyrocketed, up to 29.8%. Oops, that was the wrong slide. Apologize for that. That was yesterday's one. Let's look at today's one. My bad. Hey, early season kinks. Kelly Lennox up 36.5%. Massive ad, needs to be added in 12-team leagues. Nick Batum up 21%. Now, that was mainly for streaming today, and he was really good today. Tomorrow, there's an 11-game slate. He'll get a big run again with Kawhi most likely out. Man, he's fine to hold on to. Royce O'Neal was likely streamed for today, 17.6% up. He's not a must-hold guy, but he can have some value. Eric Gordon up another 15% today. Let's see what he does tomorrow, but he's a 12-team ad, while the Rock DJ, Robbie Williams, up 14%. On the back of what he did last game, it's just hard to see how that upside all comes to fruition for Williams, unfortunately, with Thompson and Tice both there. The biggest drops, Delon Wright down 13%. Now, maybe Delon gets an opportunity on Wednesday with no Hayes and maybe no Josh Jackson. It might not happen. I understand dropping him. I also understand Norman Powell being down by 13%. He's a drop. Nerlens Noel down by 8%. He's a drop. Cam Johnson down by 8%. I never understood why he was an ad. He's a drop. And Daniel Tice down by 8% as well. A pretty clear drop right across the board. So let's go. Who is the monstrous line of the night? It is Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic. Let's play the music again. Awesome. 35 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists for Jokic, 3 steals, a block, 60% from the field, 83% from the line. And after today's game, he has jumped to be the number 1 player in fantasy basketball this year, averaging 24, 12, and 12 with 1.4 steals on 61% shooting. Now, there are some areas that are going to probably come down. The assist numbers probably drop. He's 5 assists per game better than last year. His field goal percentage is almost 9 percentage points higher than last year. That probably comes down. He's shooting 50% more in terms of free throw attempts, so that could possibly come down. But otherwise, everything, he's so good. He would have to be close to the MVP favorite at this point, Big Chungus. A big night for him, no doubt, as he continues his unbelievable start to the season. No early season downtime for Jokic. Maybe he just hates November, and it's not about the start of the season. He just literally doesn't like the month of November. And once we crack into December, he rolls, and the season started in December, so it's all December for Nikola Jokic this year. Rookie watch. The rookie of the night was Devin Vassell of the San Antonio Spurs. Vassell played only 17 minutes, but he had a career-high 12 points, hit a career-high 3 triples, and shot 80% from the field. Now, he had been getting steals in pretty good numbers, didn't get them here. He's averaging 5 points with a 3 and a steal per game in just those 16 minutes. But when maximum Derek White does eventually return, Vassell probably isn't going to be in the rotation, but it's still been a strong start to the year. And I think that he's a guy that, in short order, is probably going to be better than Lonnie Walker and will jump into that rotation probably next season on a more permanent basis. But a pretty strong night from Devin Vassell on Tuesday's action in the Spurs' big win over the LA Clippers. All right, now let's get ready to have a look at Wednesday's action in the NBA. We have got 11 games on, so let's crack in and look at those now. All right, so the first game of the day, the Houston Rockets and the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers here are favored by 2, and the total is 227. Of course, no TJ Warren for the Pacers. Aaron Holiday is a minimum salary player because he's been producing like a minimum salary player, but he is starting. So there is at least GPP upside, and he's going to be low rostered on an 11-game slate. Justin Holiday at 4,000 looks really strong as a cash guy, while Sabonis at 8,800 and Malcolm Brogdon at 82. They look both pretty good to me. Miles Turner, 7,400. Now, he was in foul trouble and fouled out in just 23 minutes last game and still had 30 points. He has been putting up some big numbers. I'm not sure how high his upside is, but he's worth at least a look. Oladipo at 72 also looks good, and James Harden at 11 I think that might be too high for Harden, although the last 3 times against Indiana, he's averaged over 70 FanDuel points. Christian Wood at 9,100 is just no way. It's just way too high for Christian Wood. I have zero interest in him at that salary. The Cavs and the Magic, no spread out for this one. There's no Darius Garland. There is no Michael Carter-Williams, but it looks like James Ennis and Isaac Okoro will return. Dante Exum is out. Kevin Love is out for the Cavs, while Evan Fournier is questionable for the Magic. Okoro's at 3,600, so just a tick over minimum salary. I don't hate using him here. I think he's at least a GPP guy. Same as minimum salary Damian Dotson, who's probably going to get another start for Darius Garland. He had 22 last game. Fultz is down to 5,800. That looks all right, but he's been underperforming. Only for GPPs. Terry Ross at 55 looks strong in both formats, while Colin Sexton, the Padawan, 7,100. We know the problem with Sexton is that he just struggles with everything outside of scoring, but it can be okay. It just limits his upside. 9,500 for Drummond's probably too high, while 87 for Nikola Vucevic looks to be a good price. Chetty Osman's at 52. They've bumped him up $1,200 because he went bananas last time against the Magic. 43 points in that one in 38 minutes. If Okoro's back, I'm not really sure that Osman's going to get those same opportunities, so I wouldn't be tripping all over myself to go and add him to a roster, to a lineup. The Wizards and the Sixers. The Sixers are 6.5 point favorites, and the total is 231.5 points here. Embiid's at 9,900. He should wreck Thomas Bryant, so I like that one. Tyrese Maxey's a minimum salary player, and he had almost 20 points last game. He looked really good. I'm not saying to advocate to use him. I think I'd prefer someone like Aaron Holiday, but I'm not completely against throwing Maxey in. I think there's probably better options out there, though. Bertans at 46, no. Seth Curry at 52, no. Tom Bryant at 68. If Bryant hadn't risen by $1,000 and he wasn't playing against Joel Embiid, he would be absolutely viable. He would be actually awesome to use. But the Embiid combined with the $1,000 price rise probably sours me somewhat. Russ is at 10.7, which looks not bad. It's probably edging a little bit towards too high. Same as the thick Hogsman, Tobias Harris at 7,900.
I think I am a TH?
T to the H.
Yeah, TH for life.
10,000 for Bradley Beal looks like a smidge over. I don't think it's outrageous to use him, but I think it's probably just a smidge over. He's more of a 9.2, 9.3 sort of a player in my mind. The Hornets and the Hawks. The Hawks are 6-point favorites. The total is 231, one of the biggest totals of the night. Will LaMelo Ball start? We don't know, but I do like Clint Capella at 6,500, and I love John Collins at 68. Both of those guys are in play and could really wreck this Hornets team. LaMelo's at 6,900, which is, apart from being giggity one of those, it is also not a bad price. I think it's erring on the high side, while Cam Reddish at 46 is only for tournaments. Gordie Hayward at 77 is not the greatest. I don't mind Devontae Graham at 51, and I know that sounds weird because I've been talking him down, but just as a tournament guy that no one will be using, if he gets the shots to eventually fall, there's value there. I think 9,400 for Trae Young looks all right, as does 4,500 for Kevin Huerter, and the 6,000 for DeAndre Hunter is probably a little bit on the high side in my mind. Next up, the Utah Jazz and the Knicks. The Jazz on a back-to-back, and they still are favored by 6 points at this point, and the total is 215. Mitchie Robinson's at 5,500. There is foul trouble issues against Gobert, but he's been pretty good in that regard, Mitch, so I think he's worth looking at, while Rowan Barrett's at 65. I love Barrett at that price. I also like Alfred Payton at 53, and the double royal Julius Randle at 9,000. You got Rudy Gobert coming in at 8,200. That's probably too high. While Donovan Mitchell
is good.
He's at 8,200. Also probably a little bit too high. I guess you can look at Emmanuel quickly at 3,700, but that's only a GPP option because it is really just so hard to trust Tom Thibodeau and the minutes that he gives to rookies. Next up, it's Boston, and it is the Miami Heat Eastern Conference Finals rematch. The Heat are 2.5-point favorites, and the total is 218. Jeff Teague and Marcus Smart remain questionable. For Boston, Smart's at 5,900, and look, if he plays, I love that. That's a great price for Marcus Smart if he does play. Olynyk at 5,000, I love that as well. He's killing it at the moment. That's great pricing, while 8,100 for Jimmy Butler's on the high side, as is 86 for Adebayo. Jason Tatum's at 9,400, averaging 50 over the last three. I can definitely justify spending 9,400 on Jason Tatum. Dunk Robinson, probably not. While Jaylen Brown at 8,000 feels too high. Peyton Pritchard at 4,700 is a big price rise. And if Smart and Teague do play, it is very, very tough to be able to utilize him at that salary. Just the minutes may not be there, or most likely won't be there. The Detroit Pistons, Killian Hayes is doubtful, while Josh Jackson is questionable. Now, both of those guys are out there, and that means surely Delon Wright has to play a little bit. Not saying we're going to use him necessarily, but there is an opportunity. The Bucks are 13.5-point favorites, and the total is 226.5. The big ragu, Dante DiVincenzo, is 4,800. That looks great to me. And Yanni's at 11.4. I'm in on Yanni.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Punch Bob's at 47, no thanks. Middleton at 77, no thank you either. While Jeremy Grant at 73. Now, Blake Griffin will return for Detroit. Grant at 7,300 is a little bit high, but I actually think it works okay for him. I'd be all right with using that. And I love Derrick Rose at 6,000. Some real value with him, with Hayes likely to be sidelined. And Drew Holiday's putting up the numbers, but at 7,200, just think we can probably find some better options out there. Let's move on to the next one. It is the, that went too quickly. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans 8-point favorites, the total 213. Eric Bledsoe is at 5,300. Jump on that. Love that for Bledsoe. Great price. While Gilgeous-Alexander's dropped to 7,500. I'm not sure it's dropped enough. He's averaging 27 FanDuel points in his last three, and it's just been a bit concerning. I'd rather spend 1,000 less on Lonzo Ball and take him at 6,500. 5,300 for Al Horford's a tough one to me, while Steven Adams at 6,000. He had 35 last time against his former team. I think there's limited upside for Adams, but not bad cash value. I like Ingram at 88, while Zion at 79. It feels like it's on the high side. And Bazley's gone up to 6,000, and I don't mind it, but I'm not completely in on Bazley up at 6,000. When he's a 5,700 guy, he is a lot more appealing. Toronto and Phoenix, the Suns are 3.5-point favorites, the total 217.5. We have seen Toronto struggle this season. Booker's at 7,600. It's very low. We've seen Booker at 9, 10,000 at times, maybe not 10, but definitely over 9. And it's because he is struggling a bit, but he had 41 last game. I'm okay with him there. Bridges at 5,500 is a cash option. Chris Paul at 73 is all right without being great. While the wiki Chris Boucher, I don't like that he's up at 6,200. It's just too volatile. Maybe in a tournament, but even in a tournament, is it enough? Or is there enough value in that price? I lean no. DeAndre Ayton's at 72. His last two games have been pretty good. Not bad with that one. Siakam's at 75. I like that it's come down, and he has done well against Phoenix in the past, but he's obviously struggling. While Van Vliet at 8,000, that looks to be a pretty good price tag to me at this point. The Chicago Bulls, they are on a back-to-back taking on the Sacramento Kings. The Kings are 7-point favorites, and the total's 231.5. Wendell Carter's at 4,900. That's worth a GPP look, and Bud Hield's all the way down at 52. I like that for Hield, who is struggling quite a bit. We don't know if Tyrese Halliburton's playing, but he is questionable, so that's a positive sign. Fox is at 78. Hopefully he can destroy this Bulls backcourt, while Marvin Bagley, I just want nothing to do with that. Kobe White at 6,200. Probably not. While Rashawn Holmes at 63 feels a little bit too high. And I don't mind the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. 6,100, not a bad cash play. Levine at 8,100 also comes in okay without being spectacular. He's been pretty inconsistent this year, Levine. The last game is the Clippers and the Warriors. We're expecting no Marcus Morris and no Kawhi Leonard. Paul George may play. He sat out on Tuesday. We don't know this for sure. Oubre's at 5,300. I love that for him. Lou Williams at 4,000 is a GPP guy. And Kennard at 39 would be pretty strong for cash and for tournaments, assuming he's going to start in place of Kawhi. James Wiseman at 4,800, only for tournaments. Hard to trust his minutes at this point, while Steph Curry's at 10,000. he has been just annihilating teams. Can he do it to the Clippers? I'm a little bit hesitant at 10,000 for Curry. I don't completely dislike it, but I also don't think that it's one of the better plays out on the board. That'll do it for us today. Subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. Give a review if you still can. Over on Apple Podcasts, hit the bell for notifications. Leave a comment down below on this video. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.